Welcome, Inner Voice Power with Karen. This week, I love to share a topic which appears a lot these days, and that is that people have no interest anymore in the work they do at this very moment. And here it's also about senior manager actually who worked in development work, and for his feeling, he had seen everything a million times. And then you had these new people who still believe that everything could change, and somehow he had lost the feeling that he really could make a difference on the global aspect. And this is of course understandable, because when you see the never ending flow of topics, and that poverty isn't changing, yeah, and so you cannot solve a problem. Yeah, we can only in personal development, and also in in development, global development, in projects and programs. It's about the individual person, and in this time it was about this man. And this man felt, yeah, that he just didn't want to be there anymore, but at the same time he just had to have a few years left till his pension, and he did not want to really having the energy, to do something else. And so he came into a kind of depression, also because of the people that he always loved his team and the people he worked with, but because of what they were busy with, and it was all kind of useless, and it did not make sense to him anymore. He felt all these efforts these people made, a little bit confronted with I would say a little bit of guilt, like I should also be enthusiastic, but I am not enthusiastic anymore. I can't really bring up enthusiasm for the job that I'm actually doing at this moment. And then he also got problems with people he was actually to guide, and to have meetings and to inspire and to encourage in their ideas and the implementation of those ideas. And actually he simply couldn't do that anymore. He just tried to avoid everything in his work, and partially he was successful in that he avoided meetings and stuff like that, and people who were too enthusiastic and wanted really to make a big huge difference, he pulled a bit down. And like he wasn't aware that his own frustration, that he felt meaningless in his own job, yeah, that he was translating it into also the global efforts people make in order to reduce poverty and to do other things. And and here he was projecting his fears about it and his guilt feelings about it, that everything will change, that he doesn't make an effort anymore, and that he had chosen not to make an effort anymore in that. He blamed the ones who still wanted to make an effort, but he wasn't aware of that moment, in that moment of this situation. And when we met, he was closer to a depression, and actually didn't know anymore like how to deal with this situation. So while we were starting working together, and when this is not the first time that you are watching a case study of the New X approach, Inner Voice Power, then you know that it's always about how do you do your thing? How do you do your thing? Because the essence of how you are dealing with situations, yeah, is your nature. That is how you do things. What you're doing can change, and it's dynamic, where you bring in that what you do, and also how it looks like, yeah. So the form it will take finally depends if it is in a destructive level still, yeah, or it's in a constructive level. And this man, he had, like, when he went to get into details with something, he developed an energy, and then it became his, and then he also really had to go into it. He had to finish it, and it was also his pleasure, a big part of his life, when he was really going into a program and into ideas and so on to implement them, and he was a push power, yeah. And when this was falling away, he avoided any detail, and he did not want to have to see anything anymore of what was happening actually. So it is so I don't want to hear. I don't want to. The least I hear from anything that is happening, the better it is. So, and of course, as a manager, this is not working, yeah, at all, yeah. So he just wanted to kind of get through these last years, yeah, but fortunately, our health is wanting us to be happy, and that's a good thing. So when we are unhealthy, mentally unhealthy with depression, also often physical aspects, especially like back pains and stuff like that, you know, very often they're related of an inner unhappiness, which comes that we cannot live our how anymore. We have a certain nature, something that we want to do, which we do automatically, and it does not make an effort. It makes an effort not to do it, so we have to do it, yeah. And when we are not living our how anymore, it is really like cutting ourselves off a live stream. This is our purpose. This is how we do things, yeah. This is one nature, how it wants to be brought into life, yeah? And when we don't honor our how, you know, our nature, our authentic nature, yeah? And we avoid living it because in the context it's not, the what is not anymore our thing, and this is not anymore how we want to do things, yeah, then we kind of die a little bit inside, because it's very closely connected, yeah, to our life force, that we are alive, yeah. Every part in nature has a purpose, and also we do have a purpose, and our purpose is not so difficult, yeah. It is to honor the how, our all our traits, how we do our things. This is what we bring finally into life, yeah. And the energy with we do that, yeah, is determining a lot of the outcome. So when you remember from earlier times, every trait that we do have has the capacity to be destructive or constructive, and every behavior has an essence, yeah. It has an essence which is visible, yeah, as well in the destructive side as well as in the constructive side. So an essential part of how this person was living, expressing himself, yeah, was bringing himself into life, yeah, was that this aspect, that he was going into detail with it and he was connected with it, yeah, then he had to do it. And in this context, he didn't want it anymore. So what did he discover? He discovered for himself, yeah, that I can choose what detail I am busy with, because in the meanwhile he had much more interest in the human beings as such, yeah. He did do some workshops, attendant, and he did some other personal development work, and was much more interested in the spirituality, and he thought really like his work was not really worthy and it was not bringing him anywhere, yeah. And and that was not at all the case, because when he developed the trait that was not now very destructive, because he was totally in the defense, when he was not allowing himself anymore to go into the detail, yeah, he could not do that, yeah. So he was not allowing himself to live his own nature anymore, and then he is in an avoidance aspect, yeah, full avoidance aspect, and the depression is a part of that, and actually a natural, almost natural result of that, yeah. So when he developed it further, and when he was not fearing to be drawn into things that is not meaningful to him, that he can choose by himself to what to focus on, yeah, and what is his most important thing in his work, yeah, then it's not anymore the project, yeah, because these are other people who are bringing the spirit in it and they're enthusiastic in it, and that is good, yeah. But there are other aspects that he does have, because he could see people, he had truly interest in people, yeah. But this has never been very important in that area where he worked, yeah? It was always about the programs, always about the delivering, blah blah blah, yeah. So the other aspect wasn't important. So once he developed his nature further, yeah, this aspect of himself, yeah, to get in details involved, yeah, and to be fully going into that. And he transferred this ability to his team members. And he was not fearing anymore, yeah, that when when he is knowing details and he doesn't do anything about it, yeah, that that it would be bad, because it was his fear. Yeah, when I know something, I have to do something about it. It was compulsive. Yeah, when I know something, I have to do something about it. So this is why he avoided details, to know details anymore. He didn't want. Yeah, but once he shifted his trait, yeah, from the destructive side to the constructive side, yeah, and he let go some of those forming tools of our past, you know, where that were painful. And in his case, it was in his early youth, yeah, where he was forced really to study and to give good grades, and he was a good student. It was not so difficult, but he did not have interest in it. And then he said, like, no, but I had to do it. Yeah, he was forced to do it and to set through, even though it was not of his interest. And there is this like resistance to get into details what is not of my interest, yeah? And then to withdraw of it. But also, like, when you choose it, you have to do it well. And you know, this was a demand on those days when he was young. So it always has a source, but the source isn't important. The source isn't important for developing something further. Now, where it comes from doesn't matter. Yeah, perhaps you have inherited like your nose from your grandpa. It doesn't matter. It's now yours. Yeah, and it's your pleasure to develop it further. Yeah, so that you and your trait can be happily functioning again together. So once he discovered that, once he lifted it out, and he feared that he, soon as I go into a detail, I also have to do all of that, and I have to do this work. He decided, so far, oh, I can hear details, but I can leave it where it is. And I love to hear details, but I also love to hear details how people are doing and how they experiencing doing the program. And that was much more interesting to him, and he discovered that for himself. But one came always along with the other one, so he did not want to see these people, he did not want to see his colleagues, and this is where it did not work. And once he developed it further, he became actually really an extraordinary manager who had the full trust, yeah, that his people would implement stuff well, which is making also a good manager. Yeah, and at the same time, he had deeply interest in the people in his team, yeah, in who were running the projects. So, and he was listening to what is really moving them, their true problems, and he, through his huge amount of experience, he could also give just really good tips in it. But he had to acknowledge that this is a part of his nature, and he can't deny this aspect of his nature. But he could choose, yeah, to what to attend, but he only could do it when he decided to develop it further. And otherwise, his responsibility part and his fear part would have forced him to go into details and make all these things are moving, and he did not know better than just to do away with it and not to get to know anything. But this is not needed. And perhaps you also do have certain traits, you know, that are not working so well anymore. Or perhaps you also are in a position that you see that the work that you're doing right now is not anymore the work that you want to do. It's possible. It's also possible that there is a change. Yeah, but also I really like to invite you to have a look if within the place as you are right now. Yeah, exactly. I like how you deal now with the situation. Yeah, because also the withdrawal this man had in his package, he could withdraw, and then it was good. So he used also this talent of his, yeah, this trait of his, while working with the team. Yeah? So what is yours? What are your traits that are not working anymore, or perhaps did never work for you? Yeah, and the inner saboteur plays a big role here as well. Yeah, because he forces us sometimes to stay somewhere where we don't want to stay because of all kinds of dangers he might see, and he tends us on. But also, yeah, this is an aspect of you that is important, and I really invite you to look into the qualities, you know, of those aspects, and not to look outside of yourself how you should be, or to look outside of yourself of the solution, a different kind of context where you can easier live that what you do. Yeah, very, very often it is not needed. The change and the shifts come from within, yeah, and make all the difference, like how you do your thing. Yeah, and that's the essential difference. So when you want to know more about that, you know, how every single aspect of you has great potential, and you need it in order to have to transform the situation you are in at this moment to what's being enriching for you and others. Yeah, and you still can decide, of course, to change context. There's nothing wrong with this as well. Yeah, but it should not be an escape and from where you are right now. So I invite you to look at your traits, to look at your situation consciously, yeah, and to say yes to who you are at this very moment, and to take everything inside of you as valid aspects of you. Perhaps you like to join my next workshop, not this Sunday, Sunday after the 18th of June, with the topic, is it my right place? Is this my right authentic place? And the role, of course, our inner saboteur and critic plays here. So feel very much invited to that workshop. There is a link in this post. There you can enroll. If this is not, the date is not a fit, you can also become friends of Inner Power Inspiration and feel very much welcome. I love to see you somewhere, perhaps live or online. Looking forward to that.